Light is a cheerful teenager who has always dreamt of becoming a successful adventurer so that he can give his family a life of luxury. To achieve his goal, he leaves his small village and heads to the city to register as an adventurer. But things are not easy for him. In this world, the goddess created 9 races, and humans are considered the lowest among them. As a result, they are always at the receiving end of racism, and Light experiences that as soon as he steps foot in the city. A Beastman adventurer rudely tells him to get off the road, and Light can only apologize, even though he was not really blocking his way. Once he reaches the guild, he registers himself as an adventurer, and the receptionist tells him that newcomers like him receive the F rank initially. She asks if he has a gift that can play a role in his assessment, and Light eagerly affirms. He tells her that his gift is called Unlimited Gacha, and he can basically pull stuff out. But since explaining is not enough, Light decides to demonstrate and summons his gacha device, which he immediately activates. The gacha rolls out a fork card, and as Light releases the card, a fork materializes on the table. However, the fork is all bent up and Light panics. He tells the receptionist that things usually work out better and immediately uses his skill a couple of times, but the result is similar. He pulls a rotten apple and a moldy bread, which makes the receptionist convinced that this individual deserves nothing more than F rank. Light gladly receives it and then asks her if there are any jobs he can take right away. The receptionist points him towards the bulletin board where all the easy jobs are posted, but Light gets nervous just upon seeing that. The receptionist realizes that Light is illiterate on top of his other struggles. But that part is not a surprise because humans have low literacy rates. She tells him that he can do the basic stuff like carrying rocks and gathering wood, but that pays a lot less than other jobs. Light accepts that, and after a day of working hard, he manages to get enough money to rent a room. He still needs to rely on his gacha skill for food, but he is confident that he can make it. However, a gang of beastmen has another plan for him, and they stand in his way deliberately so that he bumps into them. Their leader immediately begins yelling at Light for bumping into him and getting his clothes dirty before taking away his purse. Light panics, asking him to return the money because he will not have a place to stay otherwise, but the Wolfman simply punches him away, telling him that he needs to pay for his laundry. The beastmen leave Light lying in a puddle of mud, and everyone who passes by tells him to sleep in the dirty slums with the rest of the humans. Light feels really hopeless at this point, but then suddenly someone stretches a helping hand towards him. He instinctively takes the hand of the pretty elf in front of him, but realizes 1 second later that his own hand was covered in mud. Light falls back, apologizing to the elf for dirtying her hand, but she tells him that it is fine. She assures him that she will not hurt him. But years of racism and discrimination do not let him believe that. To prove her point, the elf woman suddenly kneels down and hugs him, and Light is left speechless. Even as the people on the road mock the elf for stooping so low for the sake of a human, she helps Light back on his feet. Behind the elf, there is a group with people from different races, and they introduce themselves as the party named Concord of Tribes. They explain that they are a party formed with one member from each species that the goddess created and they were missing a human. The beastman Garu introduces himself first, followed by the elf woman Sasha, who tells Light about the rest of their members. There is Drago the Dragonoot, the demon Diablo, the Oni Abaro, the dark elf, the dwarf Nano, and the centaur named Santor. Garu says that they were just looking for a human to complete their party. And then Sasha adds that they created this party to end racism and create a world where everyone is treated equally. Light finds this too good to believe, but he cannot pass up on such a wonderful-seeming party, and he gladly joins the Concord of Tribes. Soon they start going on adventures, and Light is the weakest link in their team. He needs to be rescued from monsters by Drago and Sasha, who tell him to be more careful as one hit from the monsters will kill him. Light apologizes for his carelessness, but Sasha begins to examine him for injuries while telling him to stay behind them at all times. The rest of the party begins to tease Sasha because she is so obsessed with Light and cares about him a lot, and she turns red as she explains that she only sees him as a party member. Light feels useless because he cannot do anything apart from carrying the luggage. Light is really happy to hear this, and he cheerfully follows the team deeper into the dungeon. Soon they come to an open space with only one entry and exit, and the party members look at each other before deciding that this is the perfect place for their plan. Unaware of what the plan is, Light begins preparing to brew tea for everyone when Drago approaches him and tells him that he is being fired from the party. Light cannot even process that statement and asks what did he even do to get kicked from the party. And the Beastman Garu tells him that he is being fired because he does not do anything. Everyone tells Light how useless and stupid he is, and even Sasha acts disgusted at him. The rest of the party start throwing insults at Light and the human race. Light thinks that this has got to be some kind of prank, but they tell him that no one has got free time to play pranks on a worthless individual like him. He asks why they were behaving so nicely with him till now in that case, and they reply that it was just acting. Drago tells him that their superiors noticed his gift Unlimited Gacha and thought that he could be a maestro. That is why they ordered the Concord of Tribes to keep a close eye on him. But once they determined that Light's gift was worthless and he could not be a maestro, they gave the signal to dispose of him. Sasha is the one who is most relieved that they no longer have to keep Light around because if he was actually a maestro, she would have to marry him. And just the thought of that creeps her out. Light cannot understand what the word maestro even means. But then Drago says that they have told him more than enough and they need to finish him off before more adventurers come here. Garu immediately draws his metal claws, using them to slice Light's face. Only now does Light realize that he is really in deep and there is no way out of this problem. In his desperation, he runs away as fast as he can, and the others laugh at him, saying that they are not going to let him get away. Sasha shoots an arrow through his leg, and as Light falls on the ground and starts screaming. The elves say that hearing human screams is like music to their ears. Garu decides to make Light scream some more and begins assaulting him. But Drago tells him to stop because they need to make it look like the human died from a monster ambush. Garu obeys his orders and gets ready to finish him off, but Light crawls forward, desperately clinging to his life. Suddenly, the ground beneath him starts glowing, and Light realizes that he is in the middle of a teleportation circle. Drago notices it too and orders Garu to finish him off quickly. But before he can reach Light, the teleportation circle does its job and takes him away. However, the situation does not get much better for Light. Even after he is saved from the backstabbing traitors, the teleportation trap takes him to a random location in the dungeon, and he knows that the moment a monster finds him, he is dead. He begins to remember his family as he wonders what did he do to deserve being betrayed. He thinks about how nicely everyone treated him before they decided to backstab him. He now understands that their kind behavior was just an act, so he would completely believe them and they showed their real colors at the end. He is really furious and channels his rage to become a reason to survive. He gets up swearing that he will get revenge on them and tear them apart with his own hands. Well, before he can say more, Light hears a low growl coming from behind him. And as he turns around, he finds a level 1000 monster glaring at him. He freaks out on seeing the monster because it is something straight out of a fairy tale. Light realizes that he was teleported to the lowest floor of the dungeon, and he had a better chance of surviving his party than this monster. As he wonders how can he even fight the monster, his thoughts wander to his gift Ultimate Gacha, and he decides to take his chances. He begins pressing the gacha button repeatedly, and then suddenly his ordinary gift transforms into something beyond his wildest imagination. A giant magic circle appears below him, and the gacha device starts undergoing a power-up. Light does not understand anything, but just as the monster leaps on him, the gacha roll is completed. A level 9099 maid servant appears out of it and demolishes the monster in an instant. Everything is over before Light could even blink. And then the maid starts walking towards him. She kneels before him and instantly heals his wounds, telling him that she could not bear to see his silky smooth skin being injured. So she healed him without asking for permission. Light cannot believe that he is perfectly fine now. And then the maid asks him for his name. He introduces himself as Light, and the maid gets really happy on learning his name. She pledges by the maid's code of honor, swearing to serve him till death. Light tells her that it is all cool, but she should at least give her name first. The girl introduces herself as May, the ever-seeking maid, and tells Light that she came from a super ultra rare card in his unlimited gacha. Well, Light refuses to believe that a level 9099 maid would come out of his seemingly worthless gift, but May asks permission to use her appraisal skill on his gift to read the finer details. He immediately grants her the permission, and May uses her skill to find that his abilities are hidden under a very strong concealment, and anyone below her level cannot even see them. She tells Light that his ultimate gacha is much more useful than he thinks. The cards it rolls highly depend on the mana density of his location. And as it turns out, there is another rarity class beyond May's super ultra rarity. May explains that the mana density of the surface is really poor, but in the depths of the dungeon, the air is full of mana, which allowed her to be pulled. She commends Light's bravery in coming to the depths of the dungeon alone to unleash the full potential of his gift, and he tells her that he is someone who could not even get near the dungeon on his own. He begins crying as he tells her how his party betrayed him in the dungeon. He starts explaining how they promised they wanted to create a world free of discrimination just to trick him, and then swears to get vengeance on them. May suddenly hugs him, saying that she cannot understand what he has been through, but she will do whatever he wants, and destroying those who hurt him will not be too difficult for her. However, Light tells her that she cannot do it, and it is not because he is kind. He just wants to get revenge with his own hands, but it is not possible right now because he is too weak. He swears that he will make all of them suffer before ending things, and May kneels before him again, telling him that if he wants to grow strong enough to get revenge, she will help him with that. She tells him that she believes in his potential, and Light can only thank her. However, he is not satisfied with just one powerful ally, and decides to use the mana-rich environment of the dungeon even more. He uses his unlimited gacha again, summoning more high-class maids so that he can create a kingdom that will serve as the base for his grand revenge. 3 years pass by since that fateful day, and now Light rules over hundreds of maids inside a palace that he made for himself. May is always by his side, as she promised on the day that she met him. All the maids seem to be totally smitten by him as they cheer him on, happy to be noticed by him. While May tells them all to behave properly, he gets out of the castle and starts moving towards the local market, where everyone recognizes him as one of the vendors calls him over to his place for breakfast, while some others tell him about the shortage of snack foods in the country. Light promises to deal with the problem soon, while May tells him not to worry with such small tasks, as she will make sure the logistic problem is rectified as soon as possible. Light realizes that he will have to create a new system for dealing with the logistics, since the population of this place has increased several folds over the last 3 years. He asks May where are the rest of his legendary summons, and May replies that Yuki the Beast Tamer is busy crafting maps of the area near the dungeons, scouting the forests for any trouble. Light thinks about all the monsters roaming around in the forests, but knows that they would pose no trouble to a genius beast tamer like her. May continues by claiming that Ecchi the mage is hard at work trying to create the special magic in line with his grand plan. Light wonders whether Ecchi will be able to deal with this, since there are so many complexities in the magic spells that he asked her to create. Light asks after Naz, the vampire knight, who is excellent at close combat, but a little bit lacking in other areas. May replies that she gave her the job to patrol the castle grounds, as that would keep her from using her empty time and getting herself into any sort of trouble. Light does not mind her though, since she makes things more interesting around the castle. Soon they return back to the castle, where Light ends up being called by Jack, the last of his 4 legendary summons, who asks whether Light is ready for some training. May seems a little annoyed and tells Jack that he should address Light by his proper title, which is Master. But Jack does not believe in such formalities, so he completely ignores her. Light tells May that it is fine since he considers Jack to be an older brother, and tells May that he thinks he will go to his training session with Jack now. Inside the training ground, they both get ready to spar, when with a burst of speed, Light rushes towards his summon, punching him straight, pushing him back with his surprising strength. Jack seems to be pleased with Light's power, claiming that any normal adventurer would have died if he got punched like that. But he can take it since he is built solidly and can absorb a crazy amount of damage. They meet in the middle of the ground once again, with punches colliding before they back off. Light follows it up with a barrage of strikes which Jack dodges. Meanwhile, Naz is still patrolling the corridors when she is greeted by some of the other maids who start sweet-talking her, claiming that they all feel safe since Naz is always there patrolling and making sure that there is no danger lurking around the corner. Naz becomes overjoyed, which is what the maids wanted, as they decide to play a prank on her, as they suggest that she should go and make sure that Light's bedchambers are secured and nothing wrong is going on there. Naz thinks of it as a terrific idea and heads towards the bedroom. But when she tries to open it, May emerges from within. Naz asks May what she was doing inside Light's bedroom, since he must be away at training at this time. May immediately starts blushing, claiming that she was trying to clean the room while he was away. Naz tells her that she must check the room for any danger. But before May could tell her off, Naz enters the room and notices the bed being all ruffled. She claims that it looks like someone was on the bed and asks May whether she made it look like that intentionally. May decides to use her lack of wit to her advantage and confidently claims that it is her special bed-making style. Naz gets impressed by this and asks whether she can learn how to do that as well, but May refuses, claiming that it is a special trade secret which she cannot reveal yet. With that, Naz remembers that the maids wanted her to give May their message as well. So she takes out a parchment and gives it to May, who realizes that the other maids are revolting against her for monopolizing Light's bedroom and never letting them clean it for a change. May tells Naz not to worry about it as she will deal with the maids herself and even gives Naz some spare change to keep her mouth shut, which she happily takes and walks off. Scared of May, she immediately puts it back haphazardly and runs for her life straight out the throne room. Back inside the training ground, Light and Jack continue clashing when Jack suggests that they be done with the day and hit the baths. They soon move towards the bathroom, and once inside the giant bathtub, Jack praises Light for learning all the skills so quickly, claiming that he is strong enough that most of the creatures in the dungeons would be child's play for him, which means that few can challenge him on the surface, but warns him that there are still some who would want to completely destroy him the first chance they can get. Light gets serious as he thinks about the betrayal he faced 3 years ago, as he claims that he will not be done till he gets his revenge. Back in May's chambers, she calls in the 4 troublesome maids and asks what is their problem as she reads their letter back to them. Once in front of May herself, the 4 maids are shut silent as they do not know what to say. They apologize to her, claiming that it was just their way of showing support as they know May is overworked. May tells them not to worry about her work and focus on their own. She denies their request to clean Light's chamber and instead punishes them by giving them the order to clean the hallway that leads to the throne room by hand. The maids are surprised by this, claiming that the hallway is too long, but May tells them to keep at it as it will keep them busy while she is out with Light on a mission. Back outside, Naz is stuck to the window of a shop, eyeing a gauntlet that she wishes to buy but has no money to do so. While there, she ends up bumping into Ellie, who asks what Naz is staring at, and Naz points at the gauntlet before asking Ellie why is she back so soon since she's supposed to overlook the new construction which is happening. Ellie replies that the construction is going smoothly, so she decides to take a break. They soon end up bickering about who is closer to Light and who is more important, as Ellie tells Naz that she is involved directly in the revenge plan that Light is crafting. Unlike her, Ellie also claims that she recently had a lovely evening where she shared a cup of tea with Light, where they discussed their progress, and claims that the next time they meet, she will set up a private dinner. Naz claims that even she wants to have tea with the master before telling Ellie that she is good at close quarters combat, so if she ever wants help, she can look her up. Ellie smiles and tells her that she will surely cash that in someday. And with that, Naz returns back to her duty. Back in the castle, the 4 maids are busy plotting against May, claiming that May is overly strict, wondering whether they should go behind her back and inform on her to Light. But they think better of it, as none of them want to suffer her displeasure. One of them realizes that Light cares about May so much because she was his very first summon, while the purple-haired one claims that it took Light the next 2 months to finally summon Yuki, which means that they were all alone together in the dungeons for 2 whole months. They get incredibly jealous and start acting out of jealousy before deciding to do some magic as they sit on the table and chant so that May can be taken out of the equation. Unfortunately for them, May ends up overhearing all this and enters their room, cornering them once again. The maids immediately start apologizing, claiming that they were all just a little jealous and never meant anything that they said. May tells them to stop fantasizing about things, since during the months between her being summoned and Yuki being summoned, Light was busy learning every single thing he can about magic and practicing every single martial art he could try. So they never had time to do anything else. That relieves the maids a bit. While May claims that she came back here because she felt that she had been too hard on the maids. But now she realizes that apparently she was not. So she tells them to clean the throne room as well. Since they have enough time on their hand to practice magic completely at May's mercy, The maids had no choice but to follow her orders as they cleaned the entire throne room as well. They decided to keep their mouths shut this time to avoid getting in further trouble. But while dusting the throne, the green-haired one ends up knocking the piece of angel wing, which was broken by Naz. The piece falls to the floor, and the maids get horrified, thinking that it was their fault and wondering what May will do to them. The next morning, Light enters the dungeon only to find Naz, Ellie, and Yuki already waiting for him. He bids them good morning while Naz and Ellie already start bickering. Suddenly, though, a monster emerges from the shadows, and suddenly Light freezes as he realizes that it is a hellhound. He knows that he is much stronger than before, but the trauma from that day still haunts him as his blood runs cold every time he sees the beast. His party, however, has no fear as they all get enraged at the fact that the hellhound got Light all upset. Naz gets ready to chop it into small pieces, while Ellie asks for permission to eradicate the entire species of hellhounds from this world. And Yuki wonders whether she could somehow find hell and push this monster directly into the deepest pits. Just their aura sends the monster whimpering back as it realizes just how outmatched it is. Light, however, calms his party down as he regains his composure and slowly moves towards the monster, giving it a pat. He knows that even if he gave the order jokingly, his legendary summons would actually eradicate the entire race from the world. He then turns towards them, claiming that they need to move towards the surface as they are going to begin their plan of revenge today.